Hello, everybody. Welcome to our webinar today. Uh, our marketing folks are having a little bit of a technical issue getting logged in, lost Wi-Fi temporarily. So I'm going to ask you all to stand by if you don't mind. And we're going to get started here just a few minutes late, but we will definitely start. So we have a lot of people signing in, which is great. I want you to continue to do that. My name is Jay Fisk, and the presentation belongs with our marketing folks. They have that, so I can't really show you the slides, but they're trying their best to get logged back in here shortly. So just hang in there. In the meantime, why don't you go ahead in the chat, let us know where you are logging in from. Just say hello, and we got quite a few people still logging in. I see them coming in. We'll get started in just a couple of minutes. So I see Warrington, Virginia. That's great. Thank you so much for saying hi, DC, and wow, Chicago, and Doreen, Watertown, and Minneapolis, and Portland, Oregon, and Raleigh, North Carolina. We're seeing them from all around the country. Welcome back, Gabby. I've been just saying hello to everybody so they wouldn't think that we forgot about them today.
I am so sorry about that, Jay. My Wi-Fi stopped right when I clicked start webinar. Gotta love technology.
It's technology. What are you gonna do? We all have to deal with it, right?
Yes.
But we've got quite a few folks that are saying hello in the chat, and which is great. And I know we're gonna have a great session today.
Yes. Well, let's go ahead and get right into it then and get started. Thank you everyone for being here with us today and joining us. Welcome to Are You Selling Your Mission or Just Asking for Money? Executing meaningful auctions, fundraising events, and galas. We're going to be recording today's session, so no need to worry about taking pictures of any slides. If you want to jot down some notes, you're more than welcome to, but you will get a copy of the PowerPoint deck as well as a recorded copy of the webinar too. So let's go ahead and get started.
All right.
Welcome everyone to Are You Selling Your Mission or Just Asking for Money? Executing meaningful auctions, fundraising events, and galas. To go over our agenda, we're going to do a welcome introduction, then we're going to ask some poll questions of our audience. We're going to talk about 7 strategies to raise more at your next auction, gala, fundraising event, and then talk a little bit about technology for your event that can actually help streamline check-in, check-out, things like that. And then we're going to get to questions and answers at the end. All right, so I'll introduce our panelists for today. We have Jay Fisk, who is the Chief Auctioneer and Co-President of Arriva's Microsoft Auction Division. Hi, Jay. Thanks for being here today.
You bet. Hello and good afternoon or good morning, depending on where you happen to be.
Thanks, Jay. And my name is Gabriella Salemi. I'm the Director of Marketing here at Arriva, and I will be your moderator for today. So like I mentioned, this is an interactive session. We want to hear questions from you. If you do have a question, you'll notice on the bottom of your screen, there's a black bar, and that has a Q&A box. If you have any questions, the best place to answer them is in the Q&A box so we can keep track of all the questions that come in. You can put questions in the chat as well, but the Q&A box makes sure that we will not miss your question. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. Our first poll, and you'll see that pop up on the top of your screen right now. How many fundraising events do you run a year? And these don't have to be auctions or galas. These can be golf tournaments, maybe walks and runs, friend-raising events. We've heard some of those before. So we just want to know, on average, how many events is your organization running a year? Okay, we've got a lot of answers pouring in, so I'll give it a couple more seconds to make sure everyone gets a chance to answer. All right, so let's look at those results. So it's kind of evenly spread out throughout the entire group. There is some of you doing 5 or more, but most of you doing 1 to 2 to 3 events a year. All right, and then our next question is, what are your biggest challenges around your fundraising events? This question is multiple choice, so you can select multiple answers. Some of you might be facing all of these challenges. Some of you might be facing some of them. But getting people to attend, finding auction items, check in, check out, lighting, sound, and staging, having enough volunteers, not enough raised through your events, spending too much time for how much you raise, and keeping your event on schedule. So we're just wanting to know what are some of the biggest challenges you're facing so we can make sure to, address those when we're going through these slides and maybe give you some tips there. All right, so let's go ahead and look at those results. So the majority of you are having trouble with getting people to attend and not being able to raise enough, as well as spending too much time for how much you raise. Handful of you finding auction items, not having enough volunteers, keeping your event on schedule, and check in and check out, and then a couple with lighting, sound, and staging. Good information for us to have. And then we want to know, at your event, do you host a live auction, a silent auction, or do you host both? We hear a lot of folks say that they've hosted a live auction in the past and it wasn't as lucrative. And we've actually helped a lot of our clients, Jay himself, as our head benefit auctioneer here at Arriva, help our clients kind of reconfigure their auction to actually raise more. So we just want to know how many of you have ever hosted a live auction, or maybe you currently do, and a silent auction. All right, so looking. So 58% of you host both a live and silent auction. That's great, because we're going to be talking about strategies for both of those today. Some of you host a live auction, some of you only host a silent auction, and then some of you, 20%, don't have a live auction or silent auction. So it's great that you're here to learn more about that. And then we want to know, what is the average number of attendees at your event? Some of you might have multiple events throughout the year, but let's just say your live or silent auction, your auction gala. How many attendees would you have at that event? Okay. So about 52%, more than half, have 100 to 300 at their event. Some in the 300 to 500, few in 500 to 700. Couple of you at 700 to 900, and then 18% at under 100. All right, and then we want to know who conducts your live auction. So we see a lot of people, they use different kinds of auctioneers. It might be a board member, an MC, a local celebrity, a commercial auctioneer, a benefit auctioneer, which is very different than a commercial auctioneer. And we'll talk a little bit about what that difference is and how they actually help you raise more at your event. Maybe it's a volunteer, or maybe you don't have an auctioneer, and that could be someone you don't use year over year. Maybe each year it's someone different, or maybe you're currently looking for an auctioneer and trying to secure the right person for your event. Okay. All right, so let's look at these results. So majority of you seem to be using, 33% are a commercial auctioneer, 22% a benefit auctioneer. Some of you don't have an auctioneer for your event. A volunteer, local celebrity, MC, and board member.
Yep.
Great information. All right, well, I'm going to pass this over to Jay.
Well, thank you, Gabby. I appreciate it. Thank you all for taking time to join us today. We will be leaving lots of time at the end for Q&A, we hope. And we always will stay a little bit longer. We're not going to turn off the lights at the end of the webinar. So if you want to hang around afterwards and have some specific questions, we'll certainly get to those as well. But we're going to try and get to as many as we can during the time allocated. So the purpose of this webinar is to kind of talk about the difference between throwing a party and hoping people come and then while they're there give you money, versus being very deliberate about why you're having the event, and are you actually truly selling the mission of your organization, selling the reason why you're trying to raise money in a way that causes people to really want to not only just attend the event, but actually spend money once they get there. So we put together 7 strategies to help you do that. And that's what we're going to talk about right now. So let's talk about the power of presence. I made this the first slide, because this really is critically important. This is not something that should be, oh, by the way, maybe we'll have some of the beneficiaries there at our event. This is why you have the event. You have the event for your mission. So if you're, as an example, a Boys and Girls Club, why do you exist as a Boys and Girls Club? Well, you exist, because of the kids in your neighborhood, in your area, that need a place after school or a place on the weekend, or they, maybe they're not having a strong parental influence, and you can be that parental influence and keep them on the straight and narrow. That's your mission. That's why you exist. That is the reason why you're doing the fundraising. If you're a hospital foundation, you want to let the people at the event know that we're not just asking you for money to support our foundation. We want you to meet some of the families who have had true life-changing care because of our mission of being able to help those with our uncompensated care mission. That we're going to make sure that every child that needs help at Children's Hospital, every person who may be financially in financial difficulty, can still get care at our hospital. This is why our foundation exists. And we want them at the event, if at all possible, so they can tell their stories, so that the guests can meet them and engage with them. And then schools, why do you raise money as a school? You raise money as a school likely for scholarships, and you want those beneficiaries of those scholarships to come back as adults and to be able to talk about how that scholarship literally changed their life, how it helped them get the right grades to get into that college that helped them become achieving adults and that sort of thing. So it's exactly what we said: real people, real stories, real impact. Don't miss this opportunity. I was just at an event last Wednesday where the organization raised money to support adults with special needs, Downs and autism and so forth. And they had, I think they probably had 50 or 60 of these supported adults there in the room during the fundraising, having a chance to engage, having a chance for the guests there to see this is where our money is going. So it's real important. So please don't miss the power of presence. Everything should be branded with your mission. This starts when you first start inviting people. It's the website, it's the event signage, it's the program books. You're going to put together a PowerPoint of some kind. You're going to have a mission, a video, perhaps. It should not be overlooked that you're going to have a lot of guests at your event that may not understand your mission. The people that normally come and support you, they certainly know your mission. That's why they're coming to your gala. But they might be bringing people with them. They may be inviting others to sit at their table. They may be a table host, and at the table, there's 10 people at the table, and 8 of those 10 people may not know anything about what you do, other than the fact that their good friend or or their family member invited them to come to this event. So you should not think they're going to automatically assume that they know why you're hosting the event. And by the way, just because you need money is not enough of a reason for them to want to give it to you. You're going to be very anchored in your mission. You've got to somehow make sure that the other people that are coming to that event are equally anchored in your mission, and that is literally making sure that they don't miss the opportunity. I'll give you a quick example. I remember a golf tournament that I was involved in one time, and along the cart path between holes, and on every hole, all 18 holes, the client had put a 1-line or 2-line story about somebody that was a beneficiary of that event, of that client. So as the golfers were leaving, the third hole and driving to the fourth tee, they were driving right by a sign that just was right there. Your contribution today helps us, put 10 more kids at risk into foster care, that sort of thing. So in those little vignettes, those little 1 or 2 lines throughout an 18-hole round really makes an impact, because when those golfers came in to the award ceremony, they already understood why they were out there playing golf, because they saw those little reminders throughout the 18 holes. And then when we asked for them to make a contribution and a raise the paddle by putting their bid number up in the air, making a cash contribution, it was not a mystery to them as to why they were being asked. So think about creative ways to do that. By the way, I wouldn't miss the opportunity to put a couple signs at the valet parking circle as well, the valet drop off. When they're dropping off the car, maybe the first thing they see as they exit their car is thank you for attending our gala tonight. This is why you were asked to be here. Right. And be right up front, it's a fundraiser. This drives me nuts sometimes when I'm dealing with clients. They really try and hide the ball. They somehow feel like they're not going to get people to attend their event if they make it seem like a fundraiser. So what they do is they put on a party and then suddenly the guests have a fundraiser inflicted on them. It's like, well, I didn't sign up to go to a fundraiser. I signed up to go to a party. You want to be very upfront with folks. You want to let people know I'm inviting you to a fundraiser. We are here to make an impact. We're here to provide safe places for kids. We're here to get kids adopted, or we're here to, find a cure for whatever the disease might be. We're here to help families in need, with uncompensated care. Whatever that mission is, you want to be right up front and let people know that's why they're attending, because it's an opt-in, opt-out situation. They can decide to come to it or they can decide not to come to it, but you don't want them to opt in for the wrong reason. You don't want to invite them to a fabulous party and then they get there and they sort of slap their forehead and say, oh my gosh, I wish I had known this was going to be a fundraiser. I would have been better prepared to spend money. You want them to know right up front it's a fundraiser. Okay, so that's where it starts. So really remember this, don't hide the ball, be upfront. Okay, and guests when they arrive with the right attitude, when they arrive ready to give, you're going to make a lot more money. You just really, really do. So mission-centric event website, we can help you with that if you like, but you definitely want this to not be a mystery as to why they're coming to the event. And by the way, this happens a lot when you have people that'll buy a table. They'll, they know they want to support you, so they'll go into their phone, they'll go into their emails or whatever, and they'll invite people to sit at their table. But they say, hey, I'm going to this great party that's being put on by this organization I support. You want to have fun? It's a dress up thing. Oh, let's get all dressed up and we'll all go party together. So 2 of the 10 people at the table are there with the right idea. And the other 8 people, well, didn't really know other than that I was invited to come to this party. So it's important that your table hosts, that your table, the people that buy the tables or the table captains that put together the tables, you have to make sure that they understand that it's their job as well to sell the mission to the people that they're inviting to. Don't rely on just the organization to do it. Make sure the table hosts have the same thought in mind as well. Okay. And you want to set the expectation right at check-in. I mean, there's a couple of reasons why we ask for a credit card when we check in. One of the main reasons why we ask for a credit card right at check-in is that we feel that if they're going to be generous throughout the evening, if your guests are going to be generous and give you money throughout the evening, we don't want to have them stand in a long cashiering line, because that's not a very nice way to say thank you. They're generous and now their thank you gift is standing in a line for half an hour. That's not a very, very nice thing to do. So one of the reasons why we collect the card right up front is to eliminate the cashiering line, because we want those guests to have as their parting thought, their parting remembrance, if you will, of your event, is that you took care to eliminate the cashiering line so that they could literally at the end of the evening leave without any hassle. They could get out to their car at valet, or they could go ahead and pick their items up if they bought something at the pickup area and leave. You're going to take care of emailing them a receipt later. But they don't have to queue up at the end of the night, because I've already been there for 3 or 4 hours. They've already had a few things to drink. They're looking at their watch. They know they've got they might have a babysitter waiting on them. You don't want that last memory to be, oh man, I don't want to go to that event again. I stood in line for half an hour just to pay. So that's why we get the card up front. The second reason we get the card up front is that we want them to understand it's a fundraiser. If you go to a party and they don't ask you for a credit card, you don't have it in your brain that it's a fundraiser. You just say, oh, I'm here to party. But if the first thing you encounter is a check-in, hello, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, here we are. If you're lucky enough to be a successful bidder tonight in our live auction, or you decide to, or a silent auction, or you decide to raise your paddle during our mission ask tonight, what card would you like us to use for your generosity? That sets the tone right away. They're there for the first 5 minutes of the event. The tone is set. Oh, I'm at a fundraiser. I get it. So now their brain is thinking in terms of fundraiser throughout the evening. And the third reason, and this is the sort of the auctioneer's secret here a little bit. And if your auctioneer is not doing this, then please retrain your auctioneer. But when I work as an auctioneer, I always remind people during the mission ask and by the way, I say mission ask, and there's 100 names for this. It's called raise the paddle. It's called fund a need, fund an item, stand up for kids, mission ask, paddles up. There's a lot of different names for it, but it's basically the time during the live auction when your auctioneer says, ladies and gentlemen, you may not have been successful buying all the items you want in the silent auction. Maybe you've been outbid in the live auction, but everybody in this room can make a difference. Everybody here can contribute to our mission by simply raising your paddle at different levels. And I'm going to start at a high level and work my way down. But when I get to the level that works for you, that's in your budget, would you please be generous and put your card up in the air and let us put you down for a donation at that level? And by the way, you may remember when you checked in, we took a swipe of your credit card and we put that card on file. And the reason we did that is that we knew that many of you would spend no money tonight at all, except for this mission ask, or just during this raise the paddle. And we want our gift to you for your generosity to be that there's no cashiering line. So you want your auctioneer to remind the audience of that, because they won't remember. It'll be 2 hours later, after they checked in, and you want them to remember, oh, that's right, I already have a card on file. Because if you don't remind them of that, they're going to be thinking, well, I put my card up at $500, but I don't want to stand on a cashiering line tonight, so maybe I'll just sort of, not raise my paddle. You want everybody in that room to understand that if they put their paddle up in the air, the payment processing part has already taken care of. And I found when we do that, we'll get another 15 to 20, sometimes 25% more in the way of donations during the mission ask, simply because we reminded them that there's no cashiering line. So that's the third reason why we do it. Okay. So there we go. Item next one is the fifth. Set a giving tone early. This literally is at the check-in point. And I mentioned this just a few moments ago, but it's good. We'll go through it again. Mr. and Mrs. Smith, tonight, if you win something, may we round you up to the nearest $100 or something like that. We've already asked for the card. If you're a successful bidder tonight, or you raise the paddle tonight during our mission ask, what card would you like to use? That's getting the right card on file. But then the second one is, and if you're lucky enough to win something tonight, could we round you up to the nearest $100 as an additional donation? You'd be amazed at how many people will say yes. Most of the people will say yes because they're already there to support you anyway. And some of the people will say yes because they don't think they're going to buy anything anyway, so it doesn't cost them anything to say yes. If they're not going to buy anything, they might as well say yes. And the third reason they'll say yes is that they don't want to be the only one standing in line that does not say yes. They don't want to be the only one that says no when everybody else says yes, right? So you're going to get pretty close to 100% of the people will agree to the roundup. And if your software is on top of it, and ours is, don't want that to be a commercial, but in our software, a little button you click that says yes, agree to a roundup. Then what that'll do is it'll automatically add that differential between their purchases and the next nearest level of, as an example, $100. It'll add that as a straight cash contribution, and that's just a nice little subtle way to make a little bit more money. By the way, that's what we call a passive revenue enhancer. We have a whole webinar we did on revenue enhancers, and if you'd like, put in the chat or the ask box there, that send me the link to the passive revenue and active revenue enhancer webinar that we did, because that's a great one, because we talk about a lot of ways to bump up your revenue in a passive way or an active way. But a passive revenue enhancer works really well, maybe round you up, and there's all you have to do is just say yes or no. And then we also like to ask, does your company have a matching gift program? Because a lot of people work for companies that will match. They'll say, if you donate $100 to a charity, we'll match the $100 because you're a good citizen of our company, good corporate citizen. That, by the way, that question, does your company offer a matching gift program, can be asked that night, but you know where the best place is to ask for it is during the reservation process. When they actually want to buy a ticket and they go to your website to buy a ticket, or they respond to your mailing. If you send a mailing out with an RSVP card, the question, does your company have a matching gift program, should be front and center right at the time they buy the entry into your event, because that allows you to start the process of tracking their cash contributions so that you can then give them the proper paperwork, so that at the end of the event, you'll be able to give them the right paperwork by email or mail, so that their HR department can help you get the match. And it also allows you to track it. And again, our software will do a report for you of everybody that clicked the box, everybody that said, yes, we have a matching gift program. So we can give you, we can print out a report that says the following people have a matching gift with their company, and that helps you make money. That can make another 10, 15% after your event, that matching gift alone. So don't miss that one. Okay. But it also plants the seed. It's letting people know right up front, okay, I'm at a fundraiser. I get it now. I saw the sign when I get out of my car at valet, and I saw the sign walking down the hall, and I see the sign here as I entered the check-in area. And now you're asking me about rounding up. I get it. So by that time, you've trained the guest that, yeah, I'm at a fundraiser. I get it now. So plant those seeds early. And then also, this is a real important point. I see this mistake quite often, and you really don't want to make this mistake. Don't offer someone a deal to get in. I'll see this. People say, "Well, we're going to offer a discounted price. You know, if you buy 4 or more tickets, we're going to discount it." No, you shouldn't do that. Or we're going to offer a deal. You know, if you sign up by a certain time, we're going to give you a bargain. You don't want to do that. You also don't want to give $100 worth of value and only charge $75. That's a mistake, because what you're doing there is you're filling your room with what I lovingly like to call eaters, not bidders. If you make a good deal to get there, then you have what we call a room full of eaters. And people that are there to eat the food are not necessarily people that are there to bid on the items and donate to your cause. Now, if you flip that and you give them a $75 meal and only charge $100 for it, message delivered. It's a fundraiser. And so now you're more likely to have a room full of bidders, not a room full of eaters. Okay. And by the way, bidders will always eat your food. Eaters will not always bid on your items. Okay, so don't worry. If you have a room full of bidders, they're still going to eat your food. But send that message early. It's not shown on the slide, but I also would consider, and I can give you more information on this if you put it into the ask box. You can do what I call tiered pricing. Tiered pricing works really, really well. So let's use this $75 example here. We're going to give them a $75 meal. We're going to charge them $100. That's what we call our basic entry, or our guest entry. You can then do a $200 ticket and call that a patron level ticket. You're still giving them a $75 meal, but you're charging them $200 for it. But they're being called now a patron, and you can call out those patrons in your program book. You can list the patrons on a slide in your PowerPoint. You can have a special thank you. You might give them a trinket of some kind when they arrive because they're a patron. You can also have a benefactor level at $300. And again, the example is $75 meal, but I'm paying $300. Well, why would someone pay $200 or $300? Because they get the benefit of the tax deduction. They get a chance to write off, instead of $25, which is in this level would be $25 deduction, the difference between 75 and 100. But at 200, they get $125 tax deduction, and at 300 they get at 300 they get a $225 tax deduction, and then they get additional recognition, and maybe you give them something else, a corsage, a boutonniere, something to wear. Maybe they get a bottle of wine on their table. Maybe they get free valet parking, whatever it might be. But you can treat your patrons and benefactors a little more special as VIPs. Maybe you invite them to a VIP preview party. That might work as well. But the point is, don't miss the opportunity to do tiered pricing, because that's free money. And it also lets you set that message even stronger that, hey, it's a fundraiser and there's people here that are going to pay $300 to come to our event, not just the $100. Okay. So don't discount. And then finally, don't throw a party and hope it makes money. I always like to remind people that you want to build a business first and then make it fun. And the metaphor I use all the time is think Disney. As we know, the Disney folks like to call their place the happiest place on earth, but they also are an incredibly well-managed business. So just because you want to treat it like a business doesn't mean it's not going to be a party. You can have both. You can have a well-managed business and you can also have one that is a lot of fun. So if some of the people on your committee are reluctant to be upfront with, hey, it's a fundraiser, and they want to downplay that, they want to push down the fact it's a fundraiser and focus instead on the party and and the decorations and the centerpieces and the entertainment. They want to go all that route and not focus on the things that make you money. They're really stealing money from your event because you do want to make it a well-managed and profitable business as well as the happiest place on earth. So good mindset. Start with a ticket price. And this one is one that just about every organization should be able to do. And that is there are people that you know who are your good supporters. They're your board members, the people that come every year to support your event. They're your go-to folks. Encourage them to fill a table of like-minded people. I've seen some great success with clients that have done I'll call it a descending dollar report, if you will, from the prior year, the people that spent the most at the event down to the people that were the 8th, 10th, 12th, 14th most generous folks at the last year's event. They came and they spent money, and they should be approached and thanked and say, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, thank you so much for coming to our event last year. You were incredibly generous. We sure appreciate it. We would love it if you would consider being a table host this year and inviting like-minded folks that are friends or family members or associates of yours that you might want to share the party with this year and share a table with. Would you consider being a table host? Because what they're going to do is they're going to go into their now this is for the older folks, the boomer generation. They're going to go into their Rolodex. I know a lot of the younger folks have no idea what a Rolodex is. It's now called a cell phone, I know, but they're going to go into their virtual Rolodex and pull out the names of friends and family members that they think could spend some money and B, would like to come party with them, and let them fill that table out of their own circle of friends. That does amazing things because now these are all friends sharing a party, and they're going to interact with each other. And it's a little bit of well, I see that she's putting her card up, so I'll put my card up too. So instead of having one person at a table putting their card up at $1,000, it's better if 3 or 4 people at that table put their card up at $1,000. You make more money that way. Uh-oh, we just got disconnected. So I think what's going to happen here is I'm going to share my screen here. Bear with me because I see that her internet just went off. So let me go ahead and see if I can share my screen here just temporarily here. And drop down here. Bear with me. Gotta get to the right spot here. So let me share my screen here. Well, thought I was gonna be able to share my screen here. Here we go. It's not as big as we'd like it, but I'm gonna give it a try. So this is where we left off, and hopefully she'll come back on. And I'll be able to stop sharing my screen. But there's where we were. Make it nice and big. So yeah, you want the table captains to be able to invite their friends. You also can encourage co-bidding. and sharing items. You know, if you have a dinner for 8 or dinner for 10 in your live auction, if you have people that are like-minded sitting at the same table, they're more likely to say, hey, let's go in on this together. Let's do a reunion dinner. You know, we were having a good time tonight. Let's get back together in the next month or two at this restaurant and do this dinner together. So you have that. The leverage off of each other. It's contagious when you're there with friends. And then I mentioned this, don't hide the ball, be upfront. I've already done this one. Let me go up here. Where are we? We're 7. This is where it was the same picture. That's what threw me.
Trey, I can share my screen. I really apologize. My Wi-Fi keeps cutting off and I am not sure why.
Go ahead and share again. That's okay. I jumped in and started showing mine. We're good. We all understand technology and it's not a problem. All right. So we're back at it here. And we just finished up. Now we're key takeaways. Here we go. Perfect. So you basically your key takeaways from what we've done the 7 things is don't don't be afraid to have your beneficiaries there, whatever it is. People love to see that their money is going to a great cause, and the more visible that cause is, the more generous or more likely they are to give. It's real important that they see where the money is going, if at all possible. Okay. Mission first branding. You know, you can never say the mission too early or too often. That's why we're here. Remind them of it. Your auctioneer should be reminding them of it. You know, your auctioneer should be saying, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for coming. Our next item is this trip to Hawaii. I'd love to have your bids. We'll start the bidding at $2,000, $2,500 is bid. By the way, you know, at $3,000, you're really helping us, you know, save lives with our mission. How about 3,000? 3,000 is bid now 35. You know, don't forget we're doing you know great things tonight. So it needs to be continuous why we're doing it. Mission branding everywhere. Up front, it's a fundraiser. Don't hide the ball. You know, just remember I mentioned that before, but you know, let people know. Let it an opt-in. The best thing about it is an opt-in. If you have a room with 300 people in it, and you've been very clear about it's a fundraiser, you know you've got 300 people who are there for the right reason. And being there for the right reason. I would rather have 200 people in the room for the right reason than 500 people that are there because it's a banquet and a party. You know, I've made some I've been to some auctions with some tremendous amount of money raised with a handful of people because they were there for the right reasons. And quantity is not always your friend. You know, having a great big gala with 5, 6, 700 people will work for you if they're all there for the right reason. But if they're just there because you're throwing a big party and they get free appetizers and free champagne, and there's a headliner who could be singing afterwards and all that kind of thing. That doesn't necessarily translate to money for you. Okay, so you want them there really to opt in for the cause. Price with a purpose, I mentioned that, and just by a quick review, you know, your basic ticket, charge a little bit more than what they think they're getting, so they know it's a fundraiser. Don't be afraid to use patron and benefactor levels, because that will also send a good message for you. And then ask, ask key questions early. You know, that's, tonight, if you're successful winning something, may we round you up? Or does your company have a matching gift program? Again, being right up front with these key questions. Maybe get a card on file so that when you're successful the night bidding, or when you decide to make a donation, we can eliminate the cashiering line for you. These are the key questions you want to ask to set the tone early. Encouraging matching gifts, empower your top donors, of course, to come back as table cabinets and table hosts. By the way, one thing I do as an auctioneer, and your auctioneer should be doing this as well, is that when you're done with the mission ask, to raise the paddle, whatever, the last question should be, is there anyone in the room who'd like to match everything we just raised? And it's all people always laugh. It's always a laugh line, but it's a nice way to have everybody chuckle at the end of the raise the paddle. So you get done at the raise the paddle, you may just raise 20, 30,000, 40,000, 50,000, whatever it might be, $100,000. But having the auctioneer at the last thing, now that was great. We just raised a lot of money. Would someone like to match all of that? And it's a guaranteed laugh line, but about 10% of the auctions I do every year, someone actually matches it. I've had it matched for as much as $250,000 before. So, it's a great way to send a message. I have an expectation, your auctioneer has an expectation that someone in the room might just say, sure, I'll put another $50,000 into it. I'll another $10,000 into it. I just had that actually happen last Saturday. So, the thing is, this is important to really just continue to remind people why we're there. Okay, so that's a key takeaway. And now we're going to move on to technology, and I'm going to turn it back over to Gabby, and she's going to talk a little bit about technology that's going to help you make more money.
Thanks, Jay, so much. For anyone who is new here, maybe you've never been on an Ariva webinar, welcome. But for those of you who haven't heard of Ariva before, just to give you an overview of who we are, we've been in the nonprofit industry for over 30 years. We serve, exclusively the nonprofit industry. We have over 6,000 clients, and we have done that is now 40,000 live, virtual, and hybrid events, galas, and fundraisers. We've been, nationally vetted and approved by Ronald McDonald House Charities. I believe we have 85% of Ronald McDonald Houses in the country using our software in some regard. The Boys and Girls Clubs, Meals on Wheels, Jewish Federations, St. Vincent de Paul's, Tide Foundations, Healthcare Hospitality Network, Variety, Catholic Diocese, all nationally and vetted, have nationally, vetted and approved our software. Our software solves a lot of challenges. We noticed that there was issues with donor acquisition, retention, and engagement, and stewardship and follow-up. And that's really what our software is designed to do. It's truly the only all-in-one solution in the industry, meaning that you can manage your online fundraising, donor relationships, auction software, healthcare hospitality applications, all in one place, streamlining, operations and eliminating duplicate data entry. All these applications listed here, you can see we offer them in Exceed Further. As well, the rare thing about us is we are one of the only solutions in the industry that has an integrated auction software component. So our auction software can be purchased standalone, or it can be purchased as part of a larger database. And then I'm just going to pop this up there. If you'd like to learn more about Ariva software, even any of our auction products, that we talked a little bit about today, please let us know and we can have someone reach out to you. Our software has been seen to help our clients raise thousands, save thousands, and increase donor acquisition, retention, and engagement, which is the biggest challenge facing nonprofits right now. I believe the national rate for donor retention is declining 3.4% year over year. So you really need to have a solution in place that's going to help you steward those donors properly, be able to segment out your database, and we can do that. So we'd love to talk to you a little bit more about that.
Hey, Gabby, I can't wait for us to get to the Q&A. I'm looking at the questions and answers. We got some great questions. I can't wait to get there. So if you ask one of those questions in the question, stand by. We're going to answer every one of them for you.
Yes. And one thing just to go over, because we did talk a lot about auctions, and fundraising events, galas, this webinar, to let you know, our auction software products can be purchased standalone or, as an all-in-one. But we offer mobile bidding solutions, so people can bid right on their phone, and you don't need Wi-Fi. We're the only solution in the industry that does not require Wi-Fi for mobile bidding and check-in. Creating event websites, hosting those live and silent auctions, those payment processing, to be able to swipe credit cards at check-in, selling tickets, putting tables together, really everything you need to run your event from start to finish. So if you'd like to learn more about our auction software, please let us know. And then, Jay, do you want to share a little bit about some other services we offer?
Well, one of the things that we like to make sure that our clients understand is we can provide great auctioneers. I've been in the industry for 35 years, so I have contacts with great auctioneers all around the country. We've certified them. We call them certified because they understand not only what a benefit auction is versus a commercial auction. That's one of the questions, by the way. But they understand what a benefit auction is. They are benefit auctioneers. They're trained as benefit auctioneers. They understand our software so that when they're at your event, They can, they can answer some basic questions. They're not technical support. You're not going to get, you don't get free technical support with our auctioneers, but you do get someone who can answer basic questions, basic setup questions, or someone, how do I print something out, or how do I do this or that? They're going to be able to do that. But mostly the reason we call them certified is that we know that they're going to help you maximize your revenue. So if you have interest in an auctioneer, you'd like to interview some of our auctioneers, just let us know, and we'll reach back out to you and help you. And we also provide consulting. That's the big thing. A lot of times the money is made in the work that's being done prior to the event, and being able to have someone to talk to that you can talk about strategies of revenue enhancers, passive revenue enhancers, active revenue enhancers, specific issues you might have. One question that comes up, by the way, I get this once in a while, is they say, well, we'd like to use, a true benefit auctioneer, but we've had this volunteer for years and years and years, and we don't want to hurt his feelings, by saying he's no longer our auctioneer. And the way I typically answer that is I say, it's time that you promote that person to MC, because that person has got all the burden of raising the money for you. You want to bring in someone to raise the money, but you want that person, because they know your organization so well, promote them to master of ceremonies. Let them be the center point for the evening. But when it's time to actually raise money, when it's time to do the heavy lifting, you want that to be someone who can get the most out of the audience. So that is a way to solve that as well. We'd love to talk to you about that in consulting as well.
And just to mention, right now we are running a promotion that if you do book one of our certified benefit auctioneers before the end of April, you will receive a free event consultant. And just as Jay mentioned, what our event consultants are trained to do, they know active revenue enhancers and passive revenue enhancers that you can seamlessly add into your event. And they are there to provide you ideas to raise more and impart some of that experience on you, which is a great resource to have. So that's a special offer that we're doing right now till the end of April. So if you're interested in learning more, there's a poll on your screen, hit yes, and we'll make sure that one of our team members gets in touch with you. All right. Now let's get to the question. Yes.
Well, I have them in front of me. Do you want me to just go ahead and drive through these?
Sure, go ahead, Jay.
So the first one is, what's a friend-raising event? A friend-raising event is a gala or a party or something you put on to draw more people to learn about your mission, to learn about your organization, so that you can reach out to them in the future for a future event. And Gabby mentioned Exceed Further, which is our DRM or CRM software. And so the friend-raising event is designed to expand your circle of knowledgeable people that know about your mission, so that when you do your gala, you can reach back out to them now that they're a friend, if you will, and you can invite them to come to your event. It can still have a fundraising component to it, but it's mostly about a circle of friends kind of a thing. It's mostly about having people that care about your cause, inviting people that they know to come to your event, so that you can make new friends from the people that are already friends, if that makes sense. Okay, it's called Circle of Friends.
And
Yes.
Jay, to add into that, because I do a lot of webinars with our clients, and we've had clients come in and talk about these. A lot of them will do fundraising events maybe for major donors, where it's not a direct ask, but you're coming in and building those deeper donor relationships. And that's a way to, show donor appreciation as well too. Or before a capital campaign, getting your, donors together, things like that. And we have a few different webinars, and I believe Nathan put our webinar link into the chat. So if you want to learn more about that, we have some webinars that are on fundraisers too.
How do you tailor? Next question came in. I wonder how you tailor events for religiously motivated donors who want to focus resources on mission. I guess I don't want to misinterpret that, but it sounds to me like this would be a situation where this really would rely heavily on the friends and family inviting people into that. In other words, it's probably not a general open to the public type of situation. This is really where you're going to be focusing on the people that share your religious, I guess what would you call your mission, share your religious perspective, and you're inviting them to come learn more, take a deeper dive into the mission of that that particular religious organization. There are a lot of religious organizations, I work with quite a few, that that their whole mission is about, you know, service and with in from a religious perspective. So there, it's not counterintuitive to have fundraisers for religious missions. In fact, it's fairly common. What's the difference between a benefit and a commercial auctioneer? Natalie gave us this one. Uh, it's like the difference between a pediatrician and a podiatrist. And you know, they're both doctors, but they work in completely different ways. Okay, now I sound kind of silly there, but a commercial auctioneer's job is to liquidate things as quickly as possible. You're familiar with the, you know, the prototypical commercial auctioneer is the one that chants really fast and talks quick, and they're grinding through things as quickly as they can, and they're getting rid of the cattle, or getting rid of the cars, getting rid of the storage locker, you know, getting rid of the, you know, the estate sale, whatever it might be. They're really good at that, and they appeal primarily to people that go to these commercial auctions, and they understand the chant. They understand that they, you know, you snooze, you lose. Basically, I better be quick, you know, because we're only going to have this thing on the auction block for 30 seconds, and then we're going to move on to the next item, and then we're going to spend 30 seconds on that one. That works great in the commercial world if you're trying to get rid of things. But in the benefit world, the last thing you want is for your items that you worked very hard to gather over the 6-month period of time before your event. You don't want them liquidated. You want them maximized. So a benefit auctioneer's job is to continually sell the mission as they're selling the item, and to make it fun and make it lively, make it exciting for the audience. It's as much entertainment as it is making money. And it's very common for a benefit auctioneer, when selling something, to have that item sell for over fair market value, sometimes multiples of their fair market value. You know, you want that $1,000 item to sell for $1,500 or $2,000 or $3,000. That's what a benefit auctioneer is going to be able to do for you. They're going to be able to maximize the revenue for you, because they understand it's not about selling it quickly. It's about selling it to the maximum amount of money to an audience that is having fun bidding on it, and making it very rewarding for them. Let's go to the next one. Francesca, you're speaking a lot about organizations that offer assistance to people with education, health, et cetera, and clear personal stories. I work for a historic house museum. How do you suggest? Well, a museum has a mission as well. I mean, you know, over my 35 years, I've worked with quite a number of museums. The museum has a mission, and it's to educate. Sometimes there's scholarships associated with museums. Certainly, it's about expanding the museum all the time, bringing in the best items for museums. Sometimes it's a traveling show of some kind. You might want to fund a traveling show that would be very beneficial to your museum if you could get this traveling show into your museum. There's a lot of reasons why you could sell the mission of the museum. The key point is work within the people that already are supporting the museum, and have those people pull in new friends, if you will, to the museum. Barry said, is the choice of a theme relevant to setting the tone for generous giving? Not so much to set the tone for giving, but it does help you bring in new people. So if you have people that are connected to your cause, and they want to invite their friends, having those friends feel like they're going to go be able to have a good time is beneficial. I would stay away from themes where people are encouraged to be in heavy duty costumes and masks and things like that. People become a different persona when they're wearing a mask. You don't want them hiding behind a mask at an event. So, you know, have a fun theme, let them get dressed up, all that sort of thing, glitz and glamour, you know, Night of 1,000 Stars, you know, Jamaica Me Crazy, you know, Hawaii. There's a lot of great themes out there, but try and stay away from the carnival and that sort of stuff, where the person is not the person that they would normally be otherwise. But it does make, you know, theme is good. Definitely have a theme, because you do want to party. Let's see. Platform doesn't use Wi-Fi. How do you have multiple volunteers using several computers, check in, check out? So very quickly, without this sounding too much like a commercial, our system is designed to check people and check out on local computers that all have the database of attendees replicated on each of those computers. So those computers can be wherever you want throughout the location. Sometimes people put one of those computers at valet and they check people in when they first got out of their car, but they can be spread out throughout the venue. When check-in is over, we consolidate all of those check-in activities and bring them to a central computer where we do the data entry. And then once the event is over and we're back in our office a day or two later, that's when we do a complete audit, and then we bulk upload all of the credit cards at the same time. We don't need to upload any credit card information the night of the event. And our database does not exist in the cloud the night of the event. Our database exists in the local computer. So you could literally have this event out in the middle of the desert somewhere with no, why you'd want to do that, I don't know, but you could have it out there somewhere there's no Wi-Fi. You'd still be able to check people in and check people out. That's very important for golf tournaments, by the way, or golf courses, because a lot of times golf courses are notorious for having bad Wi-Fi. Does the auction software does it automatically interface with Donor Perfect? It does not automatically, but our software has a tremendously strong, mature, 30-year mature import-export capability. So besides the direct integration that we have with Exceed Further, we also have the ability to export in a very clear way in exactly the precise sequence, if you will, of fields to other CRM. So if you're using Donor Perfect and you want to get the data into Donor Perfect, we can help you set up an export that'll drop the fields in the right format that Donor Perfect's looking for. And that would go for other CRM as well. Obviously, we'd love to have you take a look at ours, but you're not required to do that if you don't want to. So did I have any others? Those are the ones I had. Were there others that came in on the chat or anywhere?
Yeah, we have a few. Have you experienced a come and go silent auction? It seems more of these 7 strategies can apply, but not the table approach.
Uh, I'm not sure I quite understand the come and go silent. Are you talking about a virtual silent auction where it's like on a website or something like that, where you're not actually at a gala, if that's what we're referring to?
Yes, I think maybe, and this was
Mobile
Brenda
bidding.
who asked this. So Brenda, you're still on. Maybe you can clarify for us
Yeah,
if you mean.
it's saying table approach. So I think that almost sounds like mobile bidding.
Mm,
And the answer is yeah, same thing in mobile bidding. There's no reason why on a cell phone you can't have your mission statement on the cell phone. So when they're looking to place their bid or looking to check their bids, they're still looking at your mission statement for sure. You can absolutely do that. If you're doing a virtual only event, you can have your mission on the website, or again, in our case, we're using text to bid, which is a more mobile platform. Absolutely have the mission statement right up on the phone. Yeah.
Oh, so she's saying, Jay, it's a more in-person come and go. So a silent auction where people can come, bid, and leave and not have an event.
Sure, you can do that, but the signage can be right next to the items. There's no reason why, or even the description of the item. If you have a table easel or something that's describing the item that they're bidding on, that can have the mission statement right on there as well. Every time they look at the item, they see why we're asking you to raise money. You bet. If it's a mobile bidding, you can periodically send out a blast text as well to those folks and say, "Thanks for bidding. We appreciate it. You're helping us raise money for XYZ Foundation and our mission of whatever our mission is." You can do that as well.
Another one, what is the cost of a certified auctioneer?
Auctioneers are very much regionalized. You pay more in New York and Boston and Los Angeles and San Francisco than you pay in Oklahoma and Dallas. So we just talked to us about that. The range is going to be anywhere from $2,500 to $6,000 in that range, depending on where you are geographically. But we'd be happy to give you a quote specific to where you physically are located. But it's typical, because what we'll do is we would use one of our certified auctioneers in your region, most likely, and it would be their fee that would be that we would be relating to you. And again, all of our auctioneers are on the low end at $2,500, on the high end around $6,000, $6,500 in that range. Okay.
All right. Do you have any strategies for showcasing beneficiaries and missions when your event is for a general fund that supports many organizations?
So a general fund that fits many organizations, that would be typically some like a civic organization, like a Rotary Club. or something like that, Rotary Club or Lions Club or whatever, where I call it secondary giving. You're giving to an organization that's an umbrella organization, and they give to individual organizations, to foundations. And so they should be talking about all the missions that they have within their umbrella. One particular client I remember from years past called Parasol Foundation in Reno, Nevada, Reno Tahoe area. They support about 30 different nonprofits up in that area, but their whole umbrella is called the Parasol Foundation, Parasol being an umbrella, right? So they were really good about pointing out all the different things that they support. And sometimes they do it on a rotating basis. They'll talk about 2 or 3 or 4 at a time, and then they'll rotate 2 or 3 or more at a time and so forth. So, but yeah, if you're one of those umbrella organizations that has a one-to-many relationship, you're selling the mission of who your beneficiaries are. You're more so than you're selling your mission specifically. Okay.
All right, well, those were all the questions that we had. Thank you so much, Jay, for being here today and giving us this great information.
Thank you all for attending. We did it, and we did it in 1 hour too, even with the technical challenges. We very much appreciate it. I just want to let you all know that we do these webinars on an ongoing basis. We've been doing them for 5 years now. So we have a lot in the can, so to speak. So please reach out to us for your specific needs. We'll probably have a webinar that's covered it before, or maybe you'll give us an idea for a webinar you'd like to see in the future.
Thanks, Jay. And I think I made a good case for why you don't want to have Wi-Fi reliant software at your event today. Thanks everyone for joining. You're going to get a recorded copy of the session as well as a copy of the PowerPoint deck. We hope to see you on our next Ariva webinar. Thank you and make it a great day.